What's going on, everyone? I'm just your average, everyday, atypical Canadian nerd, here to react to your average, everyday American man, here to react to and learn from a video about 10 ways that Canada and America are the same, which is something I touched on yesterday, and, well, I may have glossed over it. I don't know. I don't have the best memory. What can I say? Hey, this should be an interesting video where we get to find out our similarities, which are many. So 10 seems like a small list, in my opinion. But that's okay because I'm just one person and I don't know everything, right? And that's important that you can admit that you are incorrect in something. And I am often incorrect. It is also important that you can admit that you have made mistakes. And I make many mistakes. In fact, I think the first time that I do anything, I'm going to do it terribly wrong. And I'm pretty used to that. Although, the other day, I made a pickle chicken soup for the first time. If you're curious about that, well, it's not too different from the pickled chicken that I posted in a video a while ago. I just made soup out of it, and I might record this recipe and share it some other time. Anyway, it was my first time making this pickle chicken soup, and I did it very well. Although I admit I could have done it better. And, well, why did I get on this tangent? I don't remember. And that's not important. What is important is that I thank you for joining me here. If you like the video, go ahead and like this video on the way in or on the way out. I don't care, whatever. If you like me and what I'm doing, let me know in the comments. Or if you like me but don't like what I'm doing, let me know in the comments, because that's the only way that I'll know what you're thinking, is if you share it with me. It's a crazy concept, right? It's just, if you don't like something, please be constructive in your criticism so that I can learn, grow, improve. And as I have done recently, don't forget to stay until the end of the video because we will have a French word of the day. I don't know what that word is going to be. I figure it out as I go along because I'm kind of improvising this whole thing. I don't have a script. It's a live reaction to something I've never seen before. And I'm just here to add my context, to answer his questions, and maybe go off on some fun little tangents. I don't know. Who knows what's coming up next? I don't, except this video, so let's get the picture out of the way and get this video underway.
What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about 10 ways that Canada and the US are the same.
Now, one thing that's very different is grammar. The way we pronounce things. We are big on enunciation here in Canada, and we think grammar is very important. So it irks me every time I hear him say that he's here to react and learn about. It's react to and learn about. And he just drops some words, and that's okay. That's American way. I just needed to point out this is one way in which we are very different. Let's carry on.
Seems like every single reaction or video that I ever do is on a never-ending mission to identify all the little things that are different between America and Canada.
And that is ignoring the other two channels he has that have to do with the UK and, I don't know, somewhere else. It's probably important, but I haven't watched them. I've just read them in my comments sections, which is a clear indication that I read every comment. I might not respond to it, I might not like or heart them, because, well, it's not that I don't have the heart or I don't have the like in me. It's more that I don't have the energy or the feeling because I am deficient in many categories that comes with casual autism, and that's okay. I'm just different, right? And that's what brings us here today. Because I'm a different kind of person. That's why I say atypical at the beginning of each one of my reaction videos with Tyler here. I mean, like, he used to say typical, but he doesn't anymore, and that's fine. I am not typical, though. I am definitely cut from a different cloth, and that's okay. Well, I say that a lot because that's okay.
Today, we finally have a video over what are the similarities. Now, I'm sure there are actually tons of similarities, but I'm not talking about the obvious ones that we probably both drink out of cups, and we both probably use a bathtub and a shower, and use toothpaste, and drive in cars. No.
This is all true. And driving in cars is common, especially because both of our countries have a gigantic landmass with huge space between cities. We also have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 10 fingers, 10 toes, on average, and a nose. And yes, mine is a little big, and I don't like it, but I understand that other people do. And hey, that's fine, you know, other people don't like my beard, but I love it. I've had this beard for over a year now, and it just keeps getting better and better. See, look at that jiggle that it does. Isn't that great? Let's continue.
No, not the obvious stuff, although I guess I can't be sure that Canadians do all of that, but I assume you do.
We do. Well, not all of us. You know, that's more the average person does. Like, not everybody brushes their teeth. And not everybody brushes their teeth twice a day. Not everybody flosses. Not everybody uses mouthwash. And you should. But if you don't, well, that's your choice. You know, it's your teeth. You only get 2 sets of them anyway. What am I to tell you what to do with your mouth? Like, you don't tell me what to do with my mouth. Although you can in the comments, but please be gentle.
And if you don't, I'd like to know what you're brushing your teeth with and getting to work in.
Well, interesting fact is if you're in a survival situation and you don't happen to have a toothbrush or toothpaste, chew on tree bark. It doesn't do as good a job, but it sure does clean your teeth.
But anyway, I'm interested to see maybe some of the funny or interesting things that we do the same in Canada and the US that maybe I wouldn't have thought, or maybe are just interesting. I don't know. But at any rate, I'm ready to find out, so let's take a look.
Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Walter's World, and today we're in Vancouver, British Columbia to talk about the similarities between the US and Canada, because we've seen a lot of videos about the differences between the US and Canada, and we thought what we'd do is give you some of the similarities to show how we actually are pretty close and pretty tight, all right?
Yeah.
Now, the first thing that probably tourists are going to notice that the US and Canada both do the same is they lie about the actual price you actually pay. Yes.
And I believe that Walter has made another video that Tyler has reacted to in the past that covers this same thing. It's a different list, but it might have some of the same items. And this is referring to the sales tax that is applied at the checkout, which is not our sticker price at grocery stores and retail outlets and pretty much anywhere you buy anything. Anyways, just for context, I am in Eastern Canada, in Southern Ontario, and Walter is there in British Columbia, which is the west. It's to the west. It's all the way to the west. It's the West Coast.
Well, yeah. Some of this is kind of like a marketing thing, right? Does the Canada do this thing like in the US where everything is $9.99 or $13.99?
Yeah, or in some places it's 98 or 97. It's just a trick. It's a psychological trick that stores use to make us feel like we're saving money, even though it's only a couple of pennies, which we don't even have anymore.
$199. Never just the whole number. Never $200. Never $10. $9.99. Just because they know that is not the final price. There's taxes and weird stuff going on, and seems like Canada is probably similar. Well, according to this, it is similar.
Both
Same, yeah.
Canada and the US have sales tax. So the price you see on those goods you're going to buy, oh no, that's not the end price. They always tack a little bit something extra on there. Here in Vancouver, you have the GST, or the Goods and Services Tax, which basically is about 5% added on to the goods and services that you buy. If you're going over to Ontario, they have the HST, the Harmonized sales tax, which could be like 13 to 15%.
It is the combination of the GST and the PST, government sales tax and provincial sales tax. They were culminated together many years ago to the harmonized sales tax, which is in many provinces and causes confusion for national companies that need to make sure they have the same prices on their menus, but the taxes will vary from province to province, which means the programmers for those menu systems also have to be aware of this and make a lot of changes, and it causes a lot of headaches.
Okay. Whoa, 13 to 15%. My goodness.
Yeah, 15% here in Ontario.
I'm not very up to date with exactly how much sales tax we have in the US, mostly because I make it my mission to ignore it, to put it out of my brain, because I don't want to think about the extra little annoying money that you have to pay. So I just kind of ignore it. So
Yeah, taxes. I wish we could ignore them. Like, we're taxed on the money we make. We're taxed on the money we spend. We're taxed on the money we save. We're taxed on everything. Even if we gift money, it's a strange system of government just saying, I'll take my share of anything you do. Heck, one day, I swear, they're going to come and ask for a bowl of soup every time I make a pot.
but I know it's there. And I almost thought he was saying that Canada has other taxes on top of the sales tax. That's not true, right? He's talking about different provinces having different sales taxes. That's what it sounds like.
Well, there's also the carbon tax, and there is a tax on the carbon tax. So there is tax on tax that gets tacked onto the tax.
In the U.S., the sales tax could be anywhere from next to nothing to 15%. I mean, it can vary across the place. Where I live, it's about 8%, 9% on what I have. So that's one thing, too. It's really noticed right away. It's like, wait, the prices are not, what I pay, it's not the prices that they tell me. And that's in Canada and the U.S. The second thing that...
Yeah, it's funny how you just get used to it, right? We all just get used to it. You don't even get mad about it anymore. I mean, from time to time, you finally remember and you're like, hey, that's annoying. But for the most part, we just live our lives and don't really worry about it. At least I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that all depends on whether you count and add up your numbers as you're shopping because you're low on funds, or if you just pay with a credit card and deal with that at the end of the month, at which point, like, yeah, we don't pay attention to the price tags anymore. We just buy what we want and pay it later and pay for it again later, because a lot of people are bad with paying off their credit cards, which means they gather interest and then they have to pay the interest and the premium, and they just keep paying on interest costs, which means they end up paying double for something that they could have paid for outright if they actually had the money. Credit is a terrible system that works great and terribly all at the same time, right?
It's tourists when they come here is when they go and enjoy the food and they go and eat and drink and make merry. Both in Canada and in the U.S., you do tip. And luckily, you don't have to worry about the differences because in both places, you tip between 15 and 20% to your servers. So,
okay, cool.
Used to be 10% when I was growing up. Times change.
I honestly had forgotten if tipping was similar in Canada as in America. So this is actually a really useful one for him to bring up for me. Tipping is the same way as sales tax, isn't it? You just get used to it. And, I don't know. Tipping is funny, isn't it? Because in the United States, servers and waiters and service people get paid so badly that they really do depend on the tipping to make their living wage.
Which is crazy to me. Like, if you have a job, your job should pay you. It shouldn't be dependent on the customers thinking you did well enough that they pay you extra. That shouldn't be part of your base salary. When I was doing furniture delivery, sometimes we would get tipped like a $20 bill that was supposed to be split among 2 or 3 people. Sometimes we'd get tipped a bottle of water. One time, I got tipped a joint. It was terribly rolled. I had to take it apart, put it back together, but then the 3 of us in the truck split that, and we enjoyed the rest of the day. The point is that tips should be on top of what you're actually getting paid, and you should get paid enough that you can live off of that. But that's a whole other subject that, hey, we could ramble on that for both of our countries and many other countries all day long. And that's not what we're here for today. Wow, I'm talking a lot today. I don't know why. Is it because of the caffeine? Oh, I haven't had enough coffee. Is it because I just ate something? No, it couldn't be that. Is it because of the... Oh, hey, the tangents. Let's get back to what we're here for.
Anything, any amount that they can actually take home and live on. So, I don't know, tipping's a funny thing, isn't it? It's also got that aspect of you're kind of judging the performance of the waiter.
Oh, yeah. Ultimate insult, you tip 1 cent, or I guess now that we don't have pennies anymore, you tip a nickel, which is 5 cents. And that is very insulting to someone when you pay like $20 for your meal and then you tip 5 cents. That's a terrible service. And sometimes you tip like a note that says you did a bad job. And that is very mean, and I have never done that, but I have tipped a penny before because, well, reasons.
Like, you might give them extra money if you thought they brought you your Diet Coke fast or something. At least that's the metric I use, right?
Do know that when you are here. And the thing is, you might not like tipping, but that's how it kind of works here in Canada and the US, all right? But what's cool is both in Canada and the US, the servers and the people are super nice, super friendly. They're going to give you information and be helpful, tell you, look, this is the bar you should go to, here's the restaurant you should have, here's the food you should have in my town, which is really awesome. So that's another...
Wow. I mean, Canadians are already so polite and kind by default.
Thank you.
So I can only imagine if I got like super polite, friendly, helpful Canadian waitresses and waiters helping me, they would just take all my money.
That's the point.
Not because they forced me, not because they held like a maple syrup up to my head and was going to squirt me in the eye if I didn't. But
oh, you'd love that. Trust me.
But like, they would do. I can just tell. They would be so friendly and do such a nice job. I'd be like, man, I usually don't tip this much, but you're just so good. You're just so nice.
And this is why I have once tipped a penny, because they were just the opposite of great service. And I'm not saying bad service. I'm saying like no service. The worst service that I've ever had. Like, it was awful. I don't have more qualifiers to give you because that was a long time ago, and my memory is a little hazy from time to time.
Dang it.
Another thing that we have in common. Now, the fourth thing we have in common is we both love sports. Hockey, football, baseball, basketball. Sports bring people together in both countries and also cause a little fisticuffs as well. Now,
look at this statue. Do you guys know Jason? The horror villain, Jason, with the hockey mask? That looks like a giant Jason that's gonna attack these children. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, except for the pads that clearly show this is a goaltender or a goalie.
Yes, Americans are obsessed with sports. I mean, from what I can tell, Canadians really love hockey, like truly.
Yep.
And it actually sounds like their love of hockey is about equivalent to Americans' love of American football.
Yep.
And basketball and sort of baseball. Yeah.
A lot of Canadians are very fond of baseball and basketball as well. It's just hockey is the game. Like, we play several different types of hockey. There's field hockey, there's road hockey, there's intramural hockey, there's ice hockey, which is just hockey. There's pocket hockey. There's I'm going to stop there.
bring people together in both countries and also cause a little fisticuffs as well. Now, I'm not going to say in both countries we equally like all sports the same, but that whole sports kind of culture and how our TV schedules and our weeks sometimes can be dictated by sports is very much a Canadian and an American kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, because I mean, I judge Americans on this, and I'm American. I'm like, gosh, guys, we need to calm down a little bit. We are obsessed. Our lives are revolving around this football match and this basketball game. And then everyone just shushes me and says, yeah, that's how we like it. Shush.
I'm not a sports fan, so I don't get it. But hey, if you look up here, you can see I have luxury cardboard rectangles. If you look up here, you can see I have video game collections. This is a shelf devoted entirely to Fallout. There's a bunch of Star Wars stuff over here as well. All these t-shirts in a stack up here are all Fallout t-shirts. So I guess fandom is fandom, and everyone's got to have their own hobbies and interests.
So it's actually comforting to know that happens a little in Canada too.
So the next thing that Canada and the U.S. have in common is they both have regions that want to have a little more independence from the rest of the country. So if you look at the U.S., we talk about don't mess with Texas. Yes, Texas is its own crazy, wonderful place. And in Canada, you have Quebec, which has Quebec City, Montreal, beautiful stuff there. But both these places have kind of this independent spirit. But the thing is we don't want them to leave because I don't want Quebec to take poutine, one of the most majestic, wonderful foods in the world. And I don't want to lose Texas barbecue, which is free.
Interesting.
More interesting, if you're not aware, is that Quebec has actually tried to separate from the rest of Canada. They voted on it, and they decided to stay, and they're still not happy about it.
Interesting. I've said this a few times, but yeah, it really does seem like the provinces have their own identities, cultural identities, and so it would make sense that some provinces would take it more to the extreme, and Quebec certainly hits the bullseye with that, right? Having the whole French language influence going on, many other things I'm sure as well. And I almost feel like that is more extreme than Texas, although in the United States, Texas can seem like its own foreign country off somewhere doing their own thing.
And as far as I know, Texas has never tried to secede from the Union since the Civil War, I guess.
But yeah, we still do love Texas for cowboys and barbecue. Anyway, this is a good point. This is an interesting comparison. I would not have thought about this one, but it is true.
Freaking awesome. So that's something there. So another thing where Canada and the U.S. are very similar is that we're both super proud of our country, and we're so proud we wear it. Like, we wear our flags, whether it is in Canada, you'll see the Canadian backpackers with their Canadian flag on their backpack, or Americans who wear their flag everywhere. I mean, even their undies, you'll see American flags on there, okay? So we both wear our pride. And
This is an interesting one, because, this was absolutely true, for the past whatever amount of time, 50 years, 60 years, longer. Americans have had so much American pride, and we still do. We still absolutely do. But the way we show it has changed, because I don't know if Canadians understand the nuance of this, or our political parties or anything like that. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's come to a point where wearing an American flag t-shirt or flying an American flag on the back of your car on a big post is become associated with like politics.
The right wing, as in right-handed, not correct. I mean, I'm not doing politics today.
Whereas it used to be just a very genuine, pure way of saying, hey, we're all Americans. We love America. And everyone would be like, oh, that's nice. American flag. He's got an American flag on his hat. But that has somewhat changed in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah, I think Orange Man had a lot to do with that. And in the last 4 years, similarly, the Canadian flag, if you're wearing it, you might be seen as a political extremist, and I blame Justin Trudeau and his Chinese Communist Party relationships for that. Oh, geez, I can go on and on about what's going on with Canada and India, with Canada, China. Uh, Geopolitics is a bit of a mess right now as we approach the Third World War.
I'm gonna say where the meaning behind that has changed. And it's kind of sad and it's kind of strange, but it definitely is true depending on where you live in America. Literally flying the flag in a certain way, or it's kind of how you present it. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it has a different meaning. But besides that whole tangent, yes, Americans are extremely patriotic. Um,
And they're like patriotic like a firecracker. And here in Canada, we're patriotic like a road flare. Is that a good comparison? I think so. That's fair, anyways.
in different levels of extremism. And sounds like Canadians love Canada as well. So I think that's great.
Even their undies, you'll see American flags on there, okay? So we both wear our pride. And for a seventh similarity, we've actually come all the way across the continent. We're here in North Carolina on the Outer Banks. And the seventh similarity between Canada and the US is, dun-dun-dun, they both love country music. Yes, both countries are huge, and I'm going to talk about that. But when you're on...
So not everyone, country music is an acquired taste, and not everyone takes the time to acquire it, but it is very popular among many people, whether they grew up in the country, in the city, or anywhere, really. It's quite popular, except that there's usually only one radio station in your area that will actually play country music, and a lot of people like the folk music, like bluegrass, but they don't like country music, and I am one of those people.
Country. Canada loves country
Yep.
music? I had almost convinced myself that country music doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
Oh, please. There are many Canadian country music stars. And I bet they're popular in the United States as well, because we share more than just a border.
Like it only exists in the United States. Like we're our own planet or something of country music. Country music is very hit or miss in the United States. Some people hate it. A lot of people love it. But I certainly didn't know that it was popular in Canada.
on your road trips,
I'd say probably about as popular as it is in the States, based on his description.
whether it's Route 66 across the US, which is not Route 66 anymore, but you get my point, or you're driving across Canada and you're turning that radio dial, you'll hear country music pop up here again and again and again. I mean, who doesn't love a little Kenny Rogers? Who doesn't love Shania Twain? I mean, come on, she's awesome. And you have this music style that pops up that really...
Wait, what? This is a random spot to put that both countries love root beer. Okay. Is that supposed to relate to country music? Yeah, I guess I'd like a root beer with listening to the country music, I guess.
I'm not familiar with this association, but I sure do love a good A&W root beer. Oh, wow. Like, I haven't had one in a long time. I quit sugary beverages over 10 years ago, and the last time I had a can of soda pop, let's say, I had like maybe 3 sips, and then I walked away from the rest of the can. And if you're addicted to sugar and sugary beverages, I encourage you to give them up. They're terrible for you. Water is so much better.
Kind of random, kind of related. I don't know. Or is this supposed to be another point? Anyway, root beer, since we're talking about root beer, since he brought it up during the country music segment, Americans like root beer. It's definitely not as popular as a lot of other sodas. It's kind of obscure, and we kind of forget about its existence a lot. But it's good every now and then. Root beer. Yeah, root beer, okay.
really isn't popular too many other places around the world. I mean, some places it is, but in general, it's a Canadian-American thing.
Many agree that the Nordiques
Nordique, yeah.
Nordiques really won the 96 Cup. This is some kind of hockey reference. I have no idea what's going on.
So you do have that one similarity that we both love that, but also kind of with that love is there's also people that really don't love it as well.
Both countries make tasty donuts. Oh, I love donuts. These are some classic looking donuts.
Yeah, this is a box of Tim Hortons donuts. You can tell because of the cruller and the chocolate dip right next to each other. Then the one beside it, I don't know, is that an old-fashioned? It's the one that doesn't look like it has anything on it. Then the one at a weird angle could be a Boston cream or a chocolate dip. I'm going to guess Boston cream because variety. And then the other two, it's hard to see from this picture. They're covered in sprinkles. That's all I can really say. Vanilla icing with sprinkles of some sort that are probably themed and flavored based on, I don't know, Easter?
The vanilla with sprinkles, chocolate donut? These are the most donut-looking donuts I've ever seen.
In both countries, so just a heads up for that one. Anyway, we'll head back across the continent to finish off up in Vancouver. Now, the eighth thing that the U.S. and Canada have in common is both of our countries are enormous, and sometimes tourists from outside of Canada or outside the U.S. don't quite grasp the distances that you have in the U.S. and Canada, because we'll get tourists that'll contact us, say, hey, Mark, we're going to fly to New York, get a car, drive down to Miami, then head over to L.A. We've got 2 weeks. Is that enough? I'm like, if you want to spend the entire time in a car.
Wow, interesting.
That is not enough time. You might want to spend 2 weeks in each of those places. Wow.
Yeah, I bet this is really common with Europeans because, like he's saying, the area, the land area of Canada and the United States are similarly massive.
Yep.
And it takes you hours, days to travel from one end to another. Whereas in a lot of European countries, they can literally travel across their country in a few hours.
Yeah, if I want to visit my brother, who is also in southeastern Ontario, it's like a 7-hour drive. Driving over 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. And I'm saying over, like consistently faster than those numbers. And it'll take 7 hours. And he's not that far away when you look at us on a map. But it is a huge distance.
Go from major city to major city very quickly. Their countries just aren't that big, which is really cool to think about, being able to drive around your entire country in a day and see everything. That'd be like amazing. That's really cool.
That's kind of baffling to people like us who grew up in these gigantic land masses. For example, I once took a bus from one end of the country to the other. It took a week.
So I absolutely know what he's trying to say here. And it is very interesting and kind of funny.
But I get the same thing. People talk to me like, hey, Mark, we're going to fly to Toronto, then get a car, and then drive over to Montreal, then head over to Vancouver. I'm like, do you even know what the map looks like? I mean, you're going different directions here.
Yeah, so to get from Toronto to Montreal, that's like over 8 hours of driving at very fast speeds. It's ridiculous.
Realize when you're coming to Canada or the U.S., it's going to be big driving distances. So if you can get a flight between cities, do that to save yourself hours and hours or even days of traveling.
Yeah, I bet the concept of living in, I don't know, like Germany or something, and flying around to the different places is just sounds silly. I don't know exactly how big Germany is, but I'm something like that, you know, small-ish country. Whereas in Canada and the U.S., yeah, you'd absolutely take a plane, a flight from one side of the country to the other. You know, it's just normal. So
yeah, very true. Back in 2019, I decided to take a trip to Vegas, and well, we took a plane that went from Toronto to Vegas, and then we rented a car to drive around Nevada, which is the state where Las Vegas is, and then we crossed into Arizona, And we drove to the Grand Canyon, which took a whole day. And then we drove from the Grand Canyon the next day to Stevensville? No, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona. And, well, Scottsdale was lovely, and I encourage anyone else to visit there if you like warm weather. And that's an understatement. And we wanted to go to Tucson, but we didn't have it in our schedule because we were also driving to Los Angeles and then up to San Francisco. And those three states, Nevada, Arizona, and California, are all right next to each other. And that was a 2-week trip, and we spent days in the car going from one place to another. And around the state, like, it was a venture, and that was just 3 states in the, central west of the United States. And that took 2 weeks. And that wasn't enough time.
So this is interesting to think about. It's a good point.
By just taking a flight different places, okay? The ninth thing that the U.S. and Canada have in common is the natural beauty that both countries have. Yes, we share Niagara Falls, one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world.
Yeah, I actually didn't know we shared Niagara Falls.
Well, yes and no. There are 2 waterfalls at the Niagara Falls, and the Horseshoe Falls is the one pictured here. It is the most popular, and that's ours. That's the Canadian Falls. The other falls, which I always forget the name of, are the American side, and they're rocky and small and not as pretty. They're yours. This one's ours.
Till very recently. I had no idea. That blew my mind. Anyway, the natural beauty. I've seen a lot of the natural beauty of Canada. And a lot of it I have not seen.
He's only seen it on the screen. It's so much better in person.
On the internet, I mean. Through the beauty of this screen I'm looking at, I have seen the beauty of Canada. And I haven't, honestly, I don't know how much beauty the United States has. It certainly has national parks, some mountain ranges, lakes, beaches. There's beauty to be had here. Maybe
Everywhere. It's all just different type of beauty. Like, if you're in Vermont, for example, you got trees and mountains, and it's lovely. If you're in Arizona, as mentioned, you've got cacti and giant hills, and the Grand Canyon in Utah as well. The forests of California are gigantic old. Some are made of petrified wood. It's quite a sight to behold that you won't find other places. So I guess you just need to get out of the city there, Tyler.
it gets a little underappreciated even by me. So yeah, okay.
But both countries have amazing nature all over. If you see the Rocky Mountains and you're here in Vancouver, you see them, or if you're down in the U.S., or if you go to the Appalachians, Prince Edward Island, oh my God, it's just gorgeous being out there. You're going to see the lakes and stuff like that, the coast all around. I mean...
Okay, so we're looking at the Grand Canyon right here, and I want to be very clear about something. Whatever amount of time you have scheduled at Grand Canyon is not enough. Whatever beautiful pictures or paintings you have seen of the Grand Canyon do not do it justice. To be there is something completely different than to look at it.
Both the U.S. and Canada really are fantastic for nature lovers to get out and enjoy. And honestly, probably one of the best things in the U.S. and Canada are the national parks. So if you get a chance to go see Banff when you're here in Canada, or if you go see Yosemite when in the U.S., it is well worth it and you will love it. And my 10th...
Absolutely agree with all of that. Both of our countries, as many countries are filled with beauty.
And most important similarity between the U.S. and Canada, and though we have different names for it, both the U.S. and Canada, both the Americans and Canadians, we both agree that the cheesy goodness from that beautiful blue box, whether we call it Kraft dinner in Canada or Kraft macaroni and cheese, we both appreciate, love, and just want to eat boxes and boxes of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, which is very interesting to me. When I was a kid, we went to Disney World in it's Florida, right? Orlando. That's what I was thinking. That's the city in Florida where Disney World is, and there's this part of Disney World known as Epcot Center, where they have pavilions that represent different parts of the world. And being Canadian, we went to the Canadian pavilion, and wouldn't you know it, on the menu was mac and cheese. Yeah, it's very Canadian, apparently.
/ Kraft dinner. Look.
Okay.
And this is a Canadian staple. I have 3 boxes in my pantry right now, and I don't eat a lot of pasta anymore. But I'm still going to buy more boxes when I eat these boxes, because it's just so good and satisfying, and wholesome and tasty. And yeah, it's just carbs and cheese. But you can add your own vegetables and meats and turn it into something else by adding extra cheeses, and it's totally worth it. And if you haven't had macaroni and cheese from a box, do it. Just do it. It's totally good. And geez, I was a stepfather for a year, and that kid would almost only eat mac and cheese. It was it's a Canadian staple in every pantry. Yeah.
This is kind of random. But just because it's random doesn't make it any less true, I guess.
That's like it's as much of a staple here in Canada as is peanut butter. Every Canadian house will have at least 1 jar of peanut butter in the pantry. And I don't think that's the same in the United States.
Americans love macaroni and cheese. I will get on board with that one. That is an interesting observation, and I'm gonna agree. I'm American. I love macaroni and cheese. I love it comes in this box, Kraft macaroni and cheese. Yeah. I have fond memories of this box right here, that box, growing up, making macaroni and cheese, eating it. Some of them were shaped like cartoons. Some SpongeBob shaped macaroni and cheese. You never knew what you were going to get.
Scooby-Doo is another one. And it's not it's funny because Scooby-Doo pasta means 2 different things. One is it's shaped like the dog's head or a bone. And the other one is it's a swirly type of pasta. And they are both Scooby-Doo, but one you will find in a box, and the other you will not.
So, yeah. What did he say Canadians call this? Kraft dinner?
Yes, or Kraft dinner.
Or something? Okay, that works too. Yeah.
That's because the company that is listed on this box that makes the most popular macaroni cheese box is Kraft. They make many things, including, and not limited to, peanut butter.
It's probably something you as a tourist might not get a chance to try because it's something you make at home. It's that food you had when you were a kid and you're in college. And when you're older and you have kids, you steal your kids' mac and cheese or you steal their Kraft dinner because it's so good. And honestly, all it is, it's macaroni noodles with powdered cheese mixed with milk and butter. All right?
Yeah, and that turns it into a cheese sauce. Easy.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean,
that's the genius of it. The simple beauty of it.
You think it's something so simple, so why would you eat that? But oh my God, it is so good, and that's one thing that can bring us both together. The beautiful, beautiful blue box from Kraft.
This guy's trying to negotiate world peace over here over macaroni and cheese.
Well, he is very specifically talking about Kraft dinner, and myself, I don't really like the noodles nor the cheese that Kraft produces. And I like to go with store brand, like Compliments if you're at Walmart, or No Name if you're at Loblaws, and specifically the white cheddar. Because uncommonly known fact, cheddar cheese is white. And if you want your cheese to be yellow, they add coloring. So, yellow, orange. Hey, it's a matter of shade, I suppose. But the point is, if you want that classic orange KD or Kraft Dinner, they're adding coloring. And if you get the white cheddar, well, it's better in my opinion. But hey, I'm just one man. What do I know?
And you know what? I think it's working. I like it.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this list of 10 ways the US and Canada are actually pretty similar. If you want to learn more about visiting the US or Canada, we've got the don'ts of visiting the US, the don'ts of visiting Canada, the shocks of visiting the US, the shocks of visiting Canada, all on our website at waltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Okay, that's there's a lot of content. Yes, okay, understood. I think that's the end of it. This was by Walter's World. And I give that a like. I loved that.
Yeah, it's good. Walter does good stuff.
Love this guy. Any interesting comments, by the way? Mark, this must be the only time I've ever heard someone make the case for mac and cheese as an agent of international solidarity. Exactly. It's what he was doing.
And it's a good point. And I think that will bring us to our French word of the day. And I'm going to translate the word cheese. And en français, c'est fromage. Cheese is fromage. There you go.
I like it. Mark for international president or something. Mac and cheese lord. Oh, man. A lot of people giving their compliments. Oh, you're right. Canada and the US are both amazing in their own right. Yes, it's very nice. Very nice.
As is almost every country out there. I would love to visit every nation there is, but mostly it's because I want to eat the world. Like, everything in the world, I want to eat it. You watch James Cameron's Avatar movie, you'll see all those colorful creatures. I want to eat them. I want to eat everything. Wow. That came out of nowhere.
Indeed. Okay. Well, this video was very entertaining and very true. I really enjoyed this. He had some great points that were not so obvious. 'Cause most people, when you're talking about different countries like Canada and the US, you're talking about the differences, the interesting differences, which is great and all, but there's some interesting similarities as well.
And as the Canadian I am, whenever I travel to the United States, I notice way more similarities than I do differences.
And I think, I mean, between Canada and the United States, probably two of the most similar nations anywhere in the world
Yeah, we're good neighbors.
ever that there will ever be. We are so similar, which is really quite cool. So what did we talk about here? Sales tax, yes. Loving sports, absolutely. Country music. I was like, what was this about? I still can't wrap my head around that.
Well, when I was growing up, I was listening to classical music. I was listening to popular radio. I was listening to classical rock. I was listening to the new rock music that was coming out. But there was a friend I had growing up, and he lived on a ranch, and I would spend my summers on that ranch, and all they would listen to was country music. Yeah, it's not everywhere, but it's everywhere.
Canada loving country music. Okay, cool.
What did I say?
Old country music, classics, new country music.
New country, folk country, old country. Personal favorite is bluegrass.
You know, it's always coming out. That is funny. That's cool. Both countries are larger than tourists typically understand. Natural beauty, and of course, mac and cheese. Yeah, I liked this video. That was good.
Me too.
That was fun. If you thought this video was good and
Or
fun
if you thought
as
this
well,
one was,
feel free
then
to
go
give
ahead,
it a like or
like
leave a
it,
comment. And
leave
if
your
you're
thoughts
interested
below.
in more videos like this, me
Like
reacting
me,
to Canada,
reacting to him,
Canadian culture,
reacting to
things,
us,
stuff
and
going
all
on
that
in
we got
Canada
going on,
that I've
maybe even
never
the
seen
cat,
before,
and I don't
feel
know what
free to
else. Go
subscribe
ahead.
for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. I had fun today. I hope you enjoyed it even a little bit as much as I did, and I hope y'all just keep being awesome. Bye.
Science, spirit, life. Nerd Pope King.